The Madras High Court has temporarily banned the sale of online drugs without a valid license. This means that you can't buy any drugs online after Medicine Vendors Association moved the court, saying that drugs require a prescription were actually being sold without one. No vendor has a license to sell drugs online, and as on date, there is no law on the online sale of drugs. In fact, our correspondent Pramod Madhav spoke to Pharmacist Association Treasurer Mr. Elango about the concerns regarding the online sale of medicines. Listen in.
Tamil Nadu Commission on Drugs Association, we request the government to stop the online sales, because it is online sales is very
there is like no kind of control.
No kind of control to even though the regulatory authorities cannot
go ahead and
check.
The thing is that it's also mentioned that it's not possible for you to find out the stock if it's original or duplicate, if it's expired. Is that so? The drug officers can't do that.
Yeah, definitely. Even drug departments also cannot verify the drugs, where they are buying, where they are selling, and quality of the drugs. Prescription rights means doctors giving the prescription to the patients. That particular medicines only the patients should take the medicines. So prescription rights, we cannot take the prescription rights.
The patients or the pharmacy?
Yeah, patients or even the pharmacy. Because suppose I have no stocks, even though I have no stocks, I cannot go for the substitution. Even though I ask to the particular doctor, I ask for this substitution, and then only I can give the medicine to the patients. But in the online sales, the patient can directly choose the substitute drugs and take the medicines. It affects the health also.
Any law on the online sale of drugs is the most important reason that physicians across the country are worried. Not only a draft set of rules have been set out so far. Amita Balachandra spoke to Dr. Pallavi Darade about the draft rules and for online sale of drugs.
The issue of online sale of medicines was flagged by Maharashtra FDA about 2.5 to 3 years back, and since then we have taken massive action on these portals, more so because of the fact that what we believe is that the Drug and Cosmetics Act should be implemented in whatever manner the sale is happening or the stocking is happening. So wherever we find that this act is not complied with, we have taken actions. I believe more than 50 and odd sites we have taken action, not only in Mumbai but across Maharashtra. Now the draft rule, as you are saying, are being made, but it is yet to be finalized. So till it is finalized, Drug and Cosmetic Act hold the field. So we are trying and seeing that all the compliances as per the provisions of that act is complied with.
Till then, is it safe to say then that online sale is illegal?
I won't say that. See, in case they are complying with the Drug and Cosmetic Acts, we have no issues.
Okay.
Our basic premise has always been that it is an act and we are the implementers and the regulators. So you comply with the act and we have no issues.
In fact, Amita also spoke to the Joint Secretary Maharashtra of All India Drugs and Pharmacists Association and asked about the risks of online sale of medicines.
There is a Drug and Cosmetic Act, 1940. And since long we have been, guided or regulated by this Act, 1940 Act, and Rules 1945. All of us, we have a license to sell the medicines. Unless we have a license, we cannot sell. There is a second provision. There must be a pharmacist presence while dispensing, giving, or issuing the medicines to the patients or the caretaker of the patients. Here you will find online players, they don't have even licenses. The law is to be, initiated. It has not yet come. So all the practices or online, transactions they are doing, they are all illegal. That is part number one. Secondly, there is a distance selling. They are sitting in Noida or Delhi or Chennai or wherever. Patient may be in the other part of the country. Doctor may be some other part of the country. They are dispensing goods, sending goods, mailing goods, or dispatching goods by courier or whatever to the different parts of the country. This is all illegal. It has, disregarding all the provisions of the Drug and Cosmetic Act and rules.
Let's go across to Amita, who's joining us at this point in time. Amita, we just heard various perspectives coming in from experts regarding this entire issue. If you can take us through at this point with the way the situation currently stands, with only draft rules being in place and yet to be finalized, what aspect of online sale of medicines is legal and what is illegal?
Well, the Commissioner of Food and Drugs Administration here in the state of Maharashtra said, there is no, she cannot say it's illegal, but there is no regulation at this point. There is no law on online sale of medicines, which is why the FDA Commissioner very categorically pointed out that they are following Drugs and Cosmetics Act, and anything mentioned in that Drugs and Cosmetic Acts has to be followed, whether it is offline or even online sale. Of course, there is a ban right now till the 11th of November, and it is an interim ban. But in the meantime, all the regulations have to be followed as per Drugs and Cosmetics Act. While the Health Ministry comes up with rules, right now it's in the draft stage. Draft rules are out. In fact, 45 days were given for Pharmacists Association to come up with objections and suggestions. In fact, Maharashtra government has also listed out a whole list of objections. For instance, they talk about registration of these companies but no licensing. So there are so many points like this that Pharmacists Association also speaks about and is completely against. So while that take place at this point, it's a bit of an ambiguous situation as there is no regulation for online sale of medicines.
Absolutely. Amita, stay with us. Let's also go across to Pramod, who's joining us at this point. Pramod, obviously, online sale of medicines is something that a lot of startups, a lot of new companies are looking at as a business model in itself. And there isn't, like Amita was pointing out, there isn't any kind of regulation happening. What are the biggest concerns among all the experts for having this kind of access for people to medicines that may or may not be available without prescription?
Well, as per the law, Food and Drugs and Cosmetics Law of 1945, there are two sections under 65 and 97 based on which you are supposed to get a license to sell these medicines, especially drugs which is considered to be falling under Schedule H, H1 and X. Now, the problem is that when it comes to online trading, as Amita rightly pointed out, we do not have any kind of law. The simple term is called as gatekeeping. Nobody knows where the server is. Nobody knows where the office itself. For example, the people who spoke to us today from the Pharmacists Association Tamil Nadu, they earlier tried to contact these online vendors in a form to get their address, to keep them as respondents, but they could not find it, and that's the reason they could not even find an opposition party during filing the writ petition. Instead, they also found out that one of the biggest online traders' server is not even in India but in Saudi Arabia. So all these considerations are taken under note, and not just that, they also state that through online it's very easy to provide a duplicate prescription and get the drugs, especially drugs that are very sensitive. For instance, the sedatives, tranquilizers, these kind of drugs are not available for general public. You need accurate prescription for that. These drugs are easily available, and the next bigger concern the Pharmacists Association is trying to provide here is something called as providing prescription. A doctor is the only person who can provide a prescription, and it falls into the category that if there are too many, different companies can create the same compound and give it as a medicine, but the formation of which and the way it stays in the body differs, which would cause a kind of great effect depending on the condition of the person. For this only, they have different prescriptions. For instance, for a fever itself, we'll have 10 tablets, but depending on the person's blood pressure and BP and other things, a certain tablet will be prescribed. However, in online trading, it seems like if you don't get the first tablet, you can go for the second or alternative. That becomes an issue because in online, all your conditions are not monitored also. So these are the bigger concerns that were put forward by the Pharmacy Traders Association from Tamil Nadu. Only then Madras High Court has gone forward and given an interim stay for now.
All right. Thanks, Pramod and Amita, for getting us all those details. Of course, this is an extremely important issue. We'll have to wait and see now what the regulations say, what kind of draft rules are made, because obviously it's not a good idea to have easy access of a lot of drugs which should be used only with prescription.